Hello, my name is Siddharth Keshavu. Today I'll be presenting on the topic biomem sensors, and I'm guided by Dr. Thompson Davis. So let's look into the content part. So it includes introduction, history, biosensors, types of biosensors, applications, case study, recent developments, demerits, references, and conclusion. So let's see what is biomems. So biomems or biological microelectromechanical systems, it is an interdisciplinary field that combines principles of microfabrication, nanotechnology, medicine, and biology to develop miniaturized devices and systems for biomedical applications. So these devices are typically available on the scale of micrometers or nanometers and can be integrated with various functionalities such as sensing, actuation, and manipulation of biological materials. Some of its major applications include genomics, proteomics, point-of-care diagnosing, tissue engineering, single-cell analysis, and implantable microdevices. So biomems have considerable overlap with lab-on-chip devices and micro-total analysis systems. Now let's look into the history of biomems. So the origin of biomems can be traced back to the late 1980s and the early 1990s. However, the development of microfabrication techniques such as photolithography, etching, etc. dates back to the late 1960s. These techniques allowed the precise fabrication of small-scale mechanical as well as electronic components. So this image shows a modern photolithographic equipment. Now let's look into some of the major milestones in the history of biomems. So in 1967, S.P. Carter reported the use of first shadow evaporated palladium ions for cell attachment. So shadow evaporation is a technique that is used for developing thin films or thin layers. Then in 1985, Unipath, a company that is specialized in making diagnostic kit, developed and commercialized the first microfluidic device called as Clearblue. It was a pregnancy test kit which is still available in the market. Then in 1991, the first oligonucleotide chip was developed. Then in 1998, the first solid microneedles for drug delivery was developed. In the year 2000, we could see the development of implantable sensors, which are miniaturized devices or sensors that are designed to be inserted into the human body or human tissues. These devices can be used for monitoring various physiological parameters such as blood pressure, glucose levels, etc., within the human body. Then by the year 2010, we could see the development of more sophisticated and integrated devices for medical diagnosing, drug delivery, point of care diagnosing, etc. So this was also the year where we could see wearable healthcare devices integrating biomem sensors within it. Uh, in the year 2020, lung-on-chip devices were used for developing COVID-19 vaccines. Then by the in the year 2023, we can see more advanced MEMS-based drug delivery systems. Now let's see what are biosensors. So biosensors are devices that consist of biological recognition system, which are bioreceptors and transducers. So when an analyte interacts with a bioreceptor, it undergoes a chemical reaction or a chemical process, which can be then converted into measurable signals or electrical signals by the transducer. So the image shows an implantable glucose sensor. Next, the most common bioreceptors used in biosensing are based on antibody antigen-based reactions. The common transduction techniques include mechanical detection, electrical detection, and optical detection. The image shows a breath-based sensor. These are miniaturized devices which are capable of measuring various parameters and infectious diseases from the breath of a person. These devices work on antibody antigen-based interaction. So now let's look into some of the major types of biomem sensors that are available. The first type is chemical sensors. Chemical sensors are basically devices that are used for sensing, analyzing, and detecting chemical reactions or chemical processes. One of the most commonly used type of chemical sensor is a glucose sensor or a glucometer. So a glucose sensor is a device that is used to measure the glucose from the blood sample of a person. So the image shows a glucometer. Now let's look into the working of a glucometer. So a glucometer consists of two parts, a disposable strip and a standalone reader. The image shows a disposable strip. Now, the disposable strip consists of an electrochemical sensor. When the blood sample from a person is placed on the electrochemical sensor, it undergoes a chemical reaction. During this reaction, the the glucose in the blood reacts with oxygen in the air to form gluconic acid and hydrogen peroxide. The amount of hydrogen produced in this reaction corresponds to the amount of glucose in the blood sample. During this glucose oxidation reaction, the electrons get transferred. The electrochemical sensor in the glucometer then detects the electron transfer as small electrical signals or electric current. The glucometer measures the electrical current generated by the oxidation reaction and then converts it into readable format and displays it to the user. So this is the basic working principle of a glucometer. Now let's look at the next type, that is piezoresistive biosensor. So piezoresistive biosensors are a type of biosensors that operate on the principle of piezoresistive effect. So the piezoresistive effect refers to a change in the electrical resistance of a material in response to the applied chemical stress or strain. So the image shows a piezoresistive pressure sensor. One of the most commonly used example of a piezoresistive sensor is a pressure sensor. So this image shows the working of a piezoresistive pressure sensor. These devices use thin flexible membrane made up of piezoresistive material, for example silicon. So these are material whose resistance value changes whenever an external pressure is applied on them. A constant current is allowed to pass through the entire circuit. So when an external pressure is applied on the flexible diaphragm, its resistance value changes. As a result, the value of the current flowing through the entire circuit also changes. This change is measured and then is converted into a readable format and is displayed to the user. This is a basic working principle of a piezoresistive based pressure sensor. So the next type of biosensors are chemoresistive biosensors. Chemoresistive biosensors are type of biosensors that operate on the principle of change in electrical resistance in response to a chemical reaction between a sensing material and a target molecule. So these sensors are particularly useful for detecting the presence of concentration of specific analyte and have several applications including medical diagnostic, environmental monitoring and food safety. So one of the most commonly used type of chemoresistive biosensors are graphene-based sensors, and these are used for the detection of biomarkers associated with diseases such as cancer and pathogens. And the image shows a graphene-based sensor. The next type is environmental biosensors. So environmental biosensors are used for monitoring various environmental parameters and conditions such as atmospheric temperature, pressure, humidity, rainfall, intensity of light, etc. One of the most commonly used type of environmental sensors are a pH checker. This image shows a portable water pH meter. Now let's look into the working of a portable pH meter. As we can see in the image, a pH meter consists of two electrodes, one of which is a reference electrode whose value is known and fixed. The other electrode is called as a measurement electrode. The measurement electrode is dipped into the solution whose pH value is to be measured. Based on the amount of hydrogen ion concentration in the solution, the measurement electrode produces an electrical voltage. This voltage is then compared with the reference electrode and is measured and is converted into readable pH values and is displayed in the pH meter. So this is the basic working principle of a pH meter. The next type of biosensors are cantilever-based biosensors. So cantilevers are beam-like structures that are fixed on one end and is free on the other end. Whenever a target molecule or any other material sticks onto the beam, it undergoes a bending process. This bending is then measured to analyze the amount of molecule that is stuck on the beam. These type of sensors are used for medical testing purposes, environmental monitoring, etc. So the image shows a cantilever system that is used for detecting environmental pollutants. Next, applications. So the major application of biolum sensors are in medical field, especially for medical diagnosing purposes. Biolum sensors can be integrated into various devices that are used for diagnosing purposes, for example, the point of care devices. So with the help of such devices, we are able to detect and identify various body parameters such as diabetes, detection of biomarkers for infectious diseases, cancer cells, etc. So with the help of such devices, it has become more easy and efficient in identifying and diagnosing various diseases in human beings. So the image shows a point of care diagnosing system. It consists of two parts, a POCT chip and a standalone POCT reader. The sample preparation part takes place in the POCT chip, and the analyzing and displaying part is done by the standalone reader, which displays the result to the user. The next application is micro tools for surgery. So with the integration of Bionym sensors into existing surgical tools and equipments, surgeons are able to develop new techniques and procedures in surgery. Also, the integration of Bionym sensors into the existing surgical tools allows surgeons to get a tactile feedback and real-time feedback about various physiological parameters such as temperature, pressure, oxygen content, etc. within the human body in real time, which is crucial during a surgical procedure. The image shows a cardiac balloon catheter. So with the help of BioMIMS technology, we are able to integrate several sensors such as temperature sensor, pressure sensor, etc. Within such small devices. The next application is implantable devices. Implantable sensors or devices are tiny, miniaturized devices that are designed to be inserted into the human body for various purposes. These sensors can be implanted under the skin or within the organ, allowing continuous and real-time data collection. These are used for measuring various physiological parameters within the human body like temperature, pressure, glucose, etc. The image shows an implantable glucose sensor. The next application is wearable healthcare devices. So as the name suggests, these are devices that can be worn by a person and comes equipped with various parameter sensors such as heart rate sensor, blood pressure, glucose levels, etc. These type of devices are helpful for patients who are suffering from long-term diseases such as diabetes. The image shows a wearable pulse monitoring device. Now let's look at a case study. So traditionally, developing drugs or vaccines for a particular disease or a virus takes a long period of time as it includes multiple testing phases. Sometimes these also include animal testing, which is kind of inhuman as it can lead to the death of the animal. So back in 2020, during the COVID-19 period, developing a vaccine for the virus was an immediate need. So opting traditional method was more time consuming and not as efficient. So during this period, researchers began utilizing organ-on-chip devices. So organ-on-chip are basically BioMEMS devices that can replicate the functionality of a particular organ. Here in specific, they used lung-on-chip devices which replicated the functionality of a human lungs. So the image shows an organ-on-chip device. These are the images of lung-on-chip devices. This image shows the cross-section of a lung-on-chip device. As we can see, it consists of two parts that are separated by a membrane and placed inside a vacuum. The upper part replicates the flow of air into the lungs and the lower part replicates the flow of blood into the lungs. So with the help of these devices, researchers were able to develop vaccine for COVID-19 in a much more faster and efficient manner. Now let's look into some of the recent developments in the field of biomass. So nowadays we can see more advanced version of micropumps and microneedle-based drug delivery systems. So these are devices that combine minimally invasive microneedle arrays with miniaturized sensors, actuators, and control electronics within it. These devices are available in the form of patch-like devices and are capable of autonomous physiological monitoring, vaccine, and transdermal drug delivery. These microneedles can also provide virtually painless injections, making the administration of medication and vaccines more comfortable for patients. The image shows a microneedle patch for vaccine and drug delivery. Next, demerits of biosensors. So one of the major disadvantages of biometric sensors are its biocompatibility issue. The type of material that we select for manufacturing or developing the sensors and actuators should be selected very carefully. If the materials are not compatible with human cells or tissues, it can trigger immune responses or adverse reactions, which can sometimes be fatal for the patient. So this limits their usage in certain application. The next major disadvantage is the cost of such sensors. So developing biometric sensors and actuators require specialized techniques and can sometimes even require controlled working environments. This can adversely increase the manufacturing cost of such devices. The next major disadvantage is its durability and longevity. So biome sensors can degrade over time due to various factors such as wear and tear, biological interactions, or its exposure to the harsh conditions within the human body. So ensuring their long-term reliability can sometimes be challenging. These are some of the major companies that are involved in the field of biomems and microfabrication. First one is Abbott Laboratories. They were able to develop iStat system, which is a handheld system for blood analysis, providing real-time results. Next, Silex Microsystems. This company is specialized in MEMS and biomems manufacturing services. Next, Siemens Healthineers. They were able to provide POC solutions, including devices for blood gas analysis and cardiac markers. Next, Medtronic. They developed the Micra transcatheter pacing system, which is a type of pacemaker that can be implanted directly into the heart, which eliminates the need for leads. These are the references that I have used. So, in conclusion, biomem sensors or biomicroelectromechanical systems represent a cutting-edge technology that combines biology and microfabrication. These sensors have diverse application in healthcare, diagnostics, and research. They offer the ability to monitor and detect biological processes and contribute to the advancement in personalized medicine and point-of-care testing. Thank you.